That came from, so back when influencing wasn't really a big thing, they all had basically like names other than their real name that they went by. And mine was the Desert Down Lady. So I always said I'm a cactus in a cornfield because I love Texas, I love the South, but I'm here in the Midwest. So that's kind of where the name came from. And I just decided to say Desert Down Ranchwear.
And then where'd you grow up?
I actually grew up in southeastern Iowa, so right across Mississippi. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was the beginning of this store? How did you buy your products at first?
In your mom's basement.
Yeah, in my mom's basement.
Yeah.
Well, I started out, I moved back in with my parents when I moved back here. So I was in my parents' basement. I was making cowhide earrings actually at first and just selling them on Etsy because I was like, I don't really know if I can make this work. So I'm going to make things. That way I'm not investing a huge amount into like clothes at first. And basically, there's a lot of different hubs, I guess, you can go into online that you can buy inventory from different vendors. A lot of people go to markets, but I actually never went until last week, which was a crazy experience. And it was really good because you get hands-on feel of like products before you buy them. But at first, it was a lot of trial and error. Like I just had to kind of pick a few things and then go from there. And if I got them and they were not the quality I was expecting, then I was still stuck with it. I still had to sell it. I still had to do something. And then I found brands that I really did like too. So there's a lot of trial and error and a lot of Googling and researching and asking around to brands that I've worked with and kind of letting them trust me to have that information. Because that's something that a lot of like boutique owners and store owners in general, just the vendors are their like secrets. That's kind of what they don't share. So yeah.
What about sales and marketing in the beginning? How did you find your first clients? Were you selling to friends at first, or how did that work?
So I'm kind of different because people always ask me like, how did you grow so fast? And I think it's because like I didn't market to my hometown. I wasn't like, hey guys, I'm selling this. I'm starting a store. Like, please buy from me. I was never like, oh, my family, like, hey, I'm starting this store. I was kind of just secretive about it. And I just marketed to the people that followed me already, like on my influencer, I quote unquote influencer, but you know, my basically promotional pages and stuff. And I got the customers from there. So they like trusted me to show my style, and then they trusted me to give them the style as well.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely didn't reach out locally. I was just like, I don't want anybody to judge me if this fails. So yeah.
That's what keeps a lot of people from even starting it in the first place, is that fear. Like, what if I fail?
Yeah.
I heard something interesting, and I want to say it was Jim Carrey, the actor, his dad. He was giving a speech at like a valedictorian graduation, whatever, you know. And he was talking about how his dad did this job that he, I guess, somewhat maybe hated for like 35 years, and the company failed, and he was left with nothing. And it was like, to him, Jim Carrey was like, dude, if you can play something safe and still fail, why not just jump out there and take the risk of like, I don't know, I'm going to have fun and at least try. Because you might fail at that too, but you can fail the safe way. Yeah. Just as easy. So I thought that was interesting. But so yeah, to just jump out there and kind of low key.
You shot for it. Yeah. I just wanted to, I don't know. I feel like the people that I wanted to shop with me were the people that are already following me. Like if my friends were those people, then great. And if they weren't, then that's fine. Like that's not their style. But yeah, I definitely agree with like you can fail by not going for your goals or not chasing your dreams. I mean, that's what my parents always said. My dad owned a racetrack when he was 24 years old. I mean, like they always were jumping at new opportunities. And I've never said like, if a door's open, you might as well peek inside, like, you know, see what happens. So yeah.
What is it like, and I'm assuming maybe when you got started, but if I understand correctly, some of these brands that you work with or where you're doing photos for, doesn't it get to a point or there's an opportunity where you're receiving the gear for doing the work?
Yeah, so that was a lot of like the collaborative stuff. They would either send me the clothes to take the pictures in, and then I got to keep the clothes, or like they would send me clothes, pay me, and then I would send the clothes back. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it, and a lot of times now like people will have brand kits, which is basically explaining like, you know, if you send me this, you'll get a post on Instagram, a post on TikTok. If you send me this and this amount of money, you'll get this, this, and this. this. So it's very much like a trade kind of a thing. And like for my brand personally, like with our ambassadors, they get commissions, but it's commission and store credit. So they're earning 1% commissions on every sale that they bring in, but they're spending it at the store. So they're ultimately still representing Desert Down with those commissions. So yeah,
that makes sense.
How was the turning point when you left your parents' basement and went to actually a storefront and stuff?
So I actually bought a house in Knoxville, which is like 10, 15 minutes from Galesburg. I bought a house in Knoxville because I was like, I want to own something. I don't want to pay rent, don't want to owe anything. I just want to buy a house and I'll work out of the house, because I was living in a different house with my boyfriend. And so I bought this house and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much space. How am I going to fill this up? I have no idea. Went in there 6 months later, sold the house because we were grown out of it at that time. And then we went to a 1,500 square foot building where I'm like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to fill this thing up? And then now it's like we are busting at the seams. And so the transition was crazy because obviously it's scary to like buy a house. It's scary to like go into a bigger rent. It's scary to move any direction up. Like it's a risk. But every time I have, it's paid off. So yeah, the payment, I mean, for the house was what people don't understand, like with business, I guess, is like if you own a house, you can't really write off your house. But if you pay rent, you can write off rent. So that was ultimately better for me to rent in that situation. But it definitely was scary. I mean, I've moved a lot. And I'm like, my boyfriend, I feel so bad for him. I'm like, I'm sorry, Brandon, but we're moving again. Like, here we go. So, yeah.
You probably start seeing the writing on the wall. Like, things are pretty packed over here.
Yeah. It's crazy. I used to buy in like fast fashion, you can usually buy and get it in like a couple weeks or so. It's like something like that, unless it's a back order item or something like that. But I was like, I'm going to pre-buy for the next 2 months and, you know, it'll just come in slowly and it'll be fine. Well, it all came in. And so, yeah, our back warehouse is pretty packed right now.
What is fast fashion? What does that mean?
So like fast fashion is basically with the hubs that we work with, they're fashion that you can get right now. So like things that you can purchase today and it'll be in your warehouse in a week. Things that are not so fast fashion, just to like compare to, we just got signed on with Ariat, which is a huge Western brand right now, but they work 2 years in advance. So what they're working on now will only be for 2 years later. So it is a big turnaround. So it's crazy to think about. But I just met with them when I was in Dallas for Dallas Market, and we spent 4 hours like selecting, you know, boots and jeans and tops, and like really took time to like think about, you know, what do we want in the store in spring, fall, winter. Like planning is definitely more key there than.
How do you predict fashion a year or two out?
I asked them that. Yeah, I asked them that. Right. I was like, how do you know what's in style? And they're like, we set the style. I'm like, you're right. I'm like you're right.
We set the style.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And how does it work for you to, like, do you think that you choose the style of clothing based on what you like, or did you do it based on what your customers were looking for?
Yeah, so my style, I guess, I used to show livestock, and so like the big bell bottoms and like the turquoise and all of that was always a big thing, but in Texas it's like maximized. So it definitely was different going down there. My style felt normal, and so it was awesome. I got to bring that back to the Midwest when I moved back. Definitely, I feel like just in like this area specifically, we went to the Knox County Fair this year, and I was like, desert down, desert down, desert down. Like, you got those pants from my store, that shirt's from my store. Like, and it was cool to see like everybody wearing desert down stuff. And I'm like, wow. And they're like, yeah, nobody ever used to wear this stuff. And I'm like, that's so cool that like people like it. I mean, but there definitely are people who want to be in the industry of Western industry and understand it, and understand the fashion, and they want to get into it. There's people that aren't really about it, which is totally fine. And then there's people that their whole life have been, you know, on farms, raising horses, like, you know, doing all those things. And that's just the style they grew up with. So yeah, definitely comes from, you know,
Do you feel like you've always been into, I know most women and even, you know, young girls, where we pay attention to our style. Like, I have an 11-year-old daughter who already thinks she's got to like be looking cute, you know? So it's like, do you feel like you were always kind of into this fashion? Did you like to like look at other people's clothes and say, I like that, I don't like that, or whatever?
Yeah, so actually when I was young, I used to like watch Project Runway, and I would like draw clothes while I was watching the runway show, and I actually like would send them in to the like designers and stuff. My mom would, I think she forged a signature, but would like sign them and send them back to me. But it was a lot of fun. Like I've always been into like designing clothes and like picking styles, but dressing them, I mean, I wore like gauchos and sneakers when I was in 5th grade. Like not the style, not stylish at all. Like I wore jeans once in 5th grade, and I remember like my teacher being like, how did you wear? You're not Olivia. You're not in sweatpants. Like, and so I haven't really always been into style myself. I've always liked clothes, though. I've always liked to think about it, but I didn't actually like get the courage, I think, to start wearing it until my senior year of high school. And then I was like, I don't really care what people think. This is what I want to wear, and I'm going to wear it.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So do you feel pressure owning your own boutique, selling clothes, and then like so you're gonna run out to the store? Like, do you feel like, dang, I can't be seen out here not looking all put together? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean.
Always like, man, she's always got the cute stuff.
Yeah.
And then here they catch you, in like some sweatpants and a hoodie or something,
Personally, I don't care. I know there's a lot of people that do, but like I don't care. Like if people saw me when I was like, scooping poop in my horse pins and stuff, then that wouldn't be fun either. They'd be like, oh, she probably wouldn't think she's a boutique owner, but here I am in like sweatpants and an oversized hoodie, and my hair is on top of my head. Like, so I mean, it's just no. I don't really feel any pressure, especially like I guess when I go out. I guess I feel kind of pressure. I always feel like I'm pressured to wear my own clothes, even though I like other things too. But definitely don't feel like I have to doll up all the time, which is
I know
good.
just between society, I mean, you can just call it what it is. Like women probably have more, like we can get away, I can go out on a date and probably show up with, something average, whatever. It just women always seem to have more of that pressure, and mostly from other women. I always say women most of the time, like you're wearing these ridiculous, they look great shoes, but I know those are uncomfortable. I know you're not,
yeah.
But you're wearing those shoes for another woman.
I think girls definitely dress up for other girls. Like
sure.
it's definitely a thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Even at like Dallas Market, it's a week-long event or whatever, and the girls will go all out, like dress to the nines, like boots and bling and all this stuff, like turquoise that's so heavy. It's probably like 10-pound necklace. Like it's crazy, and I'm like, how do you wear that all day? And it's just because they want to look good, like they want to show off or show out, like make themselves feel good. I mean, it's part of it, yeah.
And the guys think that they're doing that for them.
Yeah.
And it's usually they want the compliment from another girl. Like, oh my God, girl, where'd you get that?
Yeah, when we're getting dressed, we're like, oh, everyone's gonna love these. I bet we get compliments on these boots, or we get,
Right.
Maybe somebody will notice my necklace, and like it's crazy, but yeah, and they do. I mean, they do, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. If you look, if you dress good, you look good. You're usually gonna feel good.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna perform better too, whether it's at work or just overall at life. I mean,
Oh, for sure.